welcome to Light in the Dark podcast. I am your host, Lady B. Before I introduce today's guest, I want to stress the words trigger warning. Topics discussed today may be triggering to some. You have been warned. Also, neither I nor the guest are licensed therapists, psychologists, counselors, etc. We are only sharing our experiences and or testimonies. If you need a licensed therapist, psychologist, counselor, etc., please seek a licensed therapist, psychologist, counselor, etc. There is no shame in getting your mental health together. I repeat, there is no shame in getting your mental health together. Now, on that note, let's start the show. Today, I have with me August.
Hi, friends of the internet and world. Hello. I'm really shy, so bear with me. This is like my first time doing anything like this, so my apologies in advance if I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, but I would do my best to explain things as kind and as honest. I mean, I'm going to be honest no matter what, but more like I would be like, just be me. So
that's the only person I expect you to be. You can't be nobody else.
Very true. Unless I play Dungeons and Dragons, I can be anyone who I want to be. And I also stream on Twitch. So, if you want to come watch me play video games, I stream at twitch.tv/honeychew.
All right. So today, the topics that we picked for you are going to be self-harm and growth. So how about we discuss the self-harm first? Because I think that's very important. I think self-harm happens a lot in society, and it's something that we don't really talk about. It's something that gets swept under the rug and people pretend like it doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. But it really, really, really needs to be discussed. And so the floor is yours, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I will add on to that too. Like, a lot of people do not want do not want to talk about it because it is a frightening subject. Knowing someone you love or you care about, someone's hurting themselves, and it's just people get very uncomfortable about it and they don't know what to say or what to do. So people either run away from it, pretend that it's not happening. They know it's happening, but they don't want to talk about it because they don't know what to say. So it's so important that we talk about it. Anyway, do you want me to talk about like how I started and kind of go up from there, or
like how old were you when you started?
I think actually 14. I think I was 14 when I started. What started was
but before you get to what started it, okay, so self-harm can be like many different things, I believe. Okay, so when you say that, self-harm pertaining to you, like what exactly was the self-harm? Like, did you cut yourself? Like, did you take some stuff? Like, what was it for you? And then you can talk about what led up to it.
Definitely cutting. That was the biggest thing. And also I had a lot of self-sabotaging tendencies as well. I guess that's kind of self-harm because you are harming yourself kind of in a way. I mean, I probably worded that wrong, but I didn't know what that emotion was back then. But now I realize it now, and it's self-sabotage, like, cutting myself from help or not wanting to help myself. Like you're harming yourself, like, yeah, at least I think that's how it is. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm not a doctor, so but anyway,
before you continue, since you say you're not a doctor, I'm gonna put out that disclaimer that we are not doctors, we are not professionals, we are not therapists, we are none of that. We're just here to give our, testimonies, basically give our life experiences of what we went through and how we healed from that trauma. Okay, continue.
Yes. Okay. So cutting, I started when I was 14. So what started that was pretty much when I was in middle school. I would get bullied like a lot. Like I was the weird, like emo goth kid in school, and people just pick on me, all of that kind of things that we all go through. I'm sure we all go through bullying at some point in life. We experience it differently. But anyway, A lot of bullying. I was always quiet and shy. Still quiet and very reserved and shy, but less shy, I guess. Just a little bit. Anyway. So I remember one day I went to school one morning. I was I woke up sad that morning. I woke up like with a heavy heart, and I'm just like, I don't want to go to school today. I don't want to see like anyone. Yeah, I just didn't want to be there. But anyway, I got up, got dressed, all the usual stuff. I went to school. The moment I walked through those doors, I was just like, yeah, no, it's gonna be a horrible day. And it actually was. Long story short, I went to, I think it was either English class or math class. No, actually, it was art class. It was art class. Day goes on with the art class. And so I walk in class, and, the three bullies that would always pick on me, they were walking in the classroom, they were sitting the far left, the very back far left, and then my friends were over on the opposite side, and all the other random other classmates. Anyway, I got to sit down, and the moment I sit down, the bullies are just staring at me, and I'm like, they're already talking about me, so that's great. And the classroom wasn't very small. Excuse me, it wasn't big. It was just a decent size, but I could still briefly hear what they were saying. She's weird, she looks like she drowned in black ink or something, or she looks like a guy or something. I'm like, they said all these stupid things. Oh man, I want to say stupid things, but more just very harmful things. It just got really bad. So during class, when our teacher was talking, our project involved scissors, and I felt just so anxious and scared, and I wanted to cry, and my heart was just like, I need to take out this anger, this sadness, that my heart was enduring at the time. And so then I remember the whole thing, as our teacher and I think another classmate, as they were passing out scissors and other miscellaneous things for the project, I looked at the scissors. There were red scissors, the paper over here, paper, and I think markers, pencils, markers, and paper, red scissors, right on my right side. I looked to my right, like scissors, and I was like, you know what? I wonder what this would do. So my brain was like, wait, what if I harm myself when no one is looking? And that's what I did. As everyone was, just doing whatever, and I believe the teacher, she was helping another classmate, so her back was facing me, so she cannot see me. I took the scissors, and I started cutting on my right thigh, not a lot, but just a little bit at a time. And then when I was so into the moment, and I was like, I feel so much better now, I can continue doing whatever I was doing. Someone caught me, and everyone was like, "Oh shit! Okay, you're crazy." Someone actually called me crazy. I heard that. I don't know. Anyway, the teacher was like, "Oh my god!" Called counselor and all that stuff, and I was escorted out. And I think the following day, I went to a children's hospital. It was like an emergency evaluation or something like that. I stayed in the hospital for that night. It was kind of scary because I didn't know what was happening. When I came back home the next day, I stayed home. I had to. And my mom and I were talking. She was like, I don't know why are you so sad, or why do you want to hurt yourself? And I told her, I was feeling and stuff. As a mother, she was listening, but she just didn't understand the hurt at the time that I was feeling, because maybe I wasn't honest enough, or maybe she misunderstood me, and I did felt misunderstood for a little bit. Anyway, from that point, I used self-harm as a way to escape everything in my life, whether it was bullies, or feeling sad for no fucking reason, or to breaking up with ex-boyfriends, or friends, to feeling angry about something, just anything that would just provoke a negative emotion. So for 14, 15, 16, around 17, I'm fast forwarding here, around 17, I think I was in junior year. I think junior year. Anyway, I'll just say towards the end of high school, I reached a point in life. I was like, you know what? I'm done harming myself. So I remember the whole thing. A friend of mine, we were hanging out after school. We were chilling in the cafeteria waiting for another friend to. I don't know what was happening that day, but anyway, we're in the cafeteria just hanging out talking. And I told them like, hey, I was so honest. I was like, I harmed myself, but I don't want to do it anymore. And my friend was so understanding. She was like, okay, why? And then we're just talking. And then I forgot to mention this, but throughout all those years I was self-harming, I would carry like some kind of like little really scuffed aid kit, like had like little bandages and like little like blades and all that stuff. I had that with me and I told her like everything. Anyway, I was like, I just want to stop today. She's like, okay, well, I'll be here. And I remember just taking the little aid kit like out of my bag and I just walked to like a random trash can, toss it in the trash can. So then I stopped self-harming after high school. It returned again. The urge to harm again was after high school. Started working retail, and retail was just it was sort of like it made my, I wouldn't say it made my depression worse, but it kind of just made everything escalate more. So then I kind of start cutting again when I was working in retail. Like I worked a few jobs. Like I worked at like some random like cafe or something, and I worked at like I worked security at one point, and I worked at like oh, you didn't know that? I was security.
No.
Oh, what the heck? Yeah, I did it. Anyway, so I worked security. And I worked at like, another retail store and a gym. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, just working in general just kind of just made my anxiety just bad. And then I started cutting again because of it. Then what I really one day I was at home and my anxiety was so bad and I started like harming and I started crying so much, and I mean so much to where like my body or like my heart was just like my heart was about to just fall out of my chest almost. And I was like, you know what? I need to call someone. I called someone. I think a really close friend at the time. We don't talk anymore, but I called her. Anyway, I told her what happened. She came over, talking everything. And then she was like, August, if you didn't call me, I think things could have been different, if you know what I mean. I'm like, I know. At that point, when she told me that, I was like, maybe she's right. Maybe if I didn't call her, I probably would have been in like a hospital because I cut too deep. Or I could have been, well, not here, So that point, I truly was like, okay, this is where it needs to stop. And after that, the urge actually slowly went away in time. And I don't think about it anymore. I don't feel the need to anymore. I know this now that, self-harm is not the way to cope with, whatever you're feeling. Self-harm is definitely not the way to get away from your heart, if that makes sense. You can never run away from your heart because, well, you have it, your heart is your heart. Your heart wants to help you. Your heart wants to save you. Your heart knows you better than anyone else. And if you just allow yourself to just listen to your heart and let it save you whenever you need help, let your heart save you because your heart loves you. So, yeah.
All right, so I have a question. So, like, whenever you would cut yourself throughout the years, was it like in places that was like you could easily hide?
Yes, would be mainly both my left and right forearm, and even like on top of my arms, even like between like my thighs, my inner thigh a little bit, and maybe a little bit on the top right of my right thigh, not too much, but a little bit, but more so on both of my arms, and sometimes on my wrist too, primarily on my arms, and I would do that all the time so that way no one could see them. I will say there were some days that people would kind of like hint at them or say something about it. But I was pretty good with hiding them. Definitely during the winter, like it was my favorite season because I could just do it all the time and then no one would know. So yeah, I would do it where no one could really see them.
Because the clothing basically covered it up.
Yeah.
So like wintertime was like your favorite time because of like the long sleeve clothing anyway, because long sleeves are normal during wintertime.
Right, yeah. So it's like, I could be like, yeah, I'm cold today, or I'm going out for a walk or something, or let's just say I'm going to like a party or something. But what if the party, usually parties makes me so nervous. So I remember like I would like harm myself before a party. I would like put on like a long sleeve or something and just hide it. I'm like, yeah, everything's great, you guys, Yeah, it's like the clothing was almost like a mask for me, like hiding the scars. So yeah.
So earlier you mentioned that, like people sometimes don't know what to say or don't know what to do. So you haven't been on the side of, the person who was cutting. What, if anything, could someone have said to you to like either help you to not do it or talk you out of it? Like, is there anything that someone could have said to you or maybe say to someone else who's going through it?
Yeah, I can actually think of plenty of things. Probably not a lot. I'm sure there's a lot of different ways you can approach the situation, but my personal experience telling someone, anyone who's going through this or who needs help to heal through to heal through this, you can tell someone like, hey, I may not know, what you're feeling, but I'm right here and I'm here to listen. Listening, offer your heart and your ears to them. I'm sure it would be a bonus as well if you can relate to the situation, but you don't always have to relate. I mean, it's just giving comfort and being there for them just wholeheartedly, say, hey, don't do this, the consequences are not pretty. They're never pretty. They are never pretty. The people you love, where you may not see us, but we're right in front of you. You can also tell someone like, hey, if you need to go out somewhere, do you want to go get a drink? Do also about distractions, like distract them from wanting to do it, as well, like take them out like for dinner, take them somewhere that will help get their mind off the self-harm. And I think too, if you see someone like with scars or something, or if you have a gut feeling that someone is hurting themselves, you can just say like, don't approach them and be like, hey, are you self-harming? Like, yeah, well, do not do that. Like that's the one thing you should never do. Never approach anyone. Like if they have visible scars, you never approach them like, hey, scars. You just don't do that. What you can do if when you become curious and you want to show empathy and say, hey, I'm here for you, you can approach them but say, hey, I hope you're having a good day, but just letting you know, if you need me at any point, if you need a friend to talk to, if you want company, or if you just need, like, if you feel like that dire need to talk and vent, come to me and I'll listen for whatever you need. I think that's the biggest thing, is showing comfort, giving them a sense of security, and acknowledgement, like helping them realize that you are there listening. That's the biggest thing I want to say.
All right. So another question. So at the time that you were doing the self-harm, like, do you feel like it helped you more in that moment, or did it harm you more in that moment?
I want to say it harmed me more. It harmed me more because, whenever I had a bad day or something and I would cut, I'm like, I feel so much better. But then realizing there is a process behind it. It's like, you have to clean and you have to like make up little stories as to quote unquote what happened, if someone catches the markings or something, and like making sure that you don't catch yourself wearing short sleeves. There's a lot after the consequences, like there's a lot after the action that I didn't realize after a while, lying became more difficult. Hiding it actually became a little more difficult. Like the little issues I thought wouldn't arise, it started arising like over time. And every time I would harm myself, like it would feel good for a moment, but I would feel bad after that because I'm just like, I know this isn't good for me, but I want to do it anyway because I just feel like no one understands the pain. And I thought at the time it was only the blades that understood what I was feeling. But now I know that that is not the answer. Like I wrote in one of my personal journals, poetry saves me every day from spilling blood all over the floor. And I think it's true. I love poetry, by the way. So, poetry is great. It's a great coping mechanism for sure. Highly recommend. Anyway, but yeah. Back to the question. Yes, it did more harm than good.
There was a moment earlier where you were describing how you were in class, and there's all of these details, and that, like, hearing the details told me that you were a writer. I mean, I already knew, that you wrote poetry, but you can tell that, like, because you're so detail oriented, you can tell that, like, you're a writer.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I write a lot. I enjoy writing. Definitely after self-harm, I picked up literature, well, writing, poetry, and I haven't looked back. Writing is just great, and it really is a way for me to let go of whatever I'm feeling. And it's like, as a writer, you need to be prepared to revisit some of those emotions sometimes. And they can be heavy sometimes, they can be good, sometimes bad, meh, or like, holy shit, I feel horrible, or wait, I feel kind of good today, So as a writer, you just want to be prepared for those emotions. But it's still healing because no matter what, writing is a way to let go. You put the words on paper and they're just there on the paper. They're not in your heart anymore.
Yeah. So for you, writing is a positive coping mechanism as to, well, self-harm, which was a negative coping mechanism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Poetry writing is definitely more of a positive one because, not only your writing is also educational. You learn things, you learn new words. You actually extend your vocabulary more the more you write and the more you read. Oh, and reading's great. Another good, awesome thing to do. Reading is absolutely beautiful. Reading takes you into different like worlds of life. And so does poetry. Poetry teleports you into another world, I think. That's just beautiful. All the poetry that I read really helps me pick out the things I need to work on personally on myself and whatever topic I think I need to write about, whether self-love or I write about it. Like I'm inspired by all the worlds that I come across when I'm reading or writing poetry.
All right, so let's talk about growth, because as you were talking, I could see the growth from when you were doing the self-harm to when you stopped doing the self-harm. So something in your mind clicked and was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, speak on like the growth aspect and what it was like to go through that, I guess, like that transformation into like the growth and the healing part of it.
Okay, yeah. So when after that wake up call, yeah, that day. So after a while, I was just like, damn, like I just don't want this in my life anymore. So I believe I started looking for counseling. Like just I didn't tell anyone. I just did it on my own. Started looking for counseling. And then I actually I told my mom about it. And she was like, "Why do you want to go to therapy?" And I told her why, but I didn't tell her why either because I didn't want to tell her that I started doing it again after like high school or middle school and high school because I think I forgot to mention that I didn't tell my mom I started cutting again like after high school. Long story short, I started looking for counseling, and that helped a lot. And I will say this is kind of off topic, but therapy is wonderful. Do it. Therapy's great. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. It's awesome. Do it. It's great. Anyway. So therapy was one of the things that helped a lot. And it was just so good. Like it helped me a lot understand, my emotions and why this and why that and what provokes that that urge to like harm and just everything. It was just great. And after therapy, I realized too that I don't want my body to look like some kind of statue just with lines all over it. That's not really a beautiful sight for anyone to look at, you know? And also, too, I told myself that self harm is not the answer to healing. It's not the way to heal. I want to heal properly. I want to heal through healthy friendships and healthy relationship with whoever I'm with, healthy dynamics with my family, with the things I love, writing, gaming, um, have healthy relationship with the things that makes my heart glow like a lantern, and putting all of that together just truly made me realize that self-destruction is not the way to be who you want to be. Self-destruction it's not worth it.
So do you think that therapy, because I've mentioned before, like during these podcasts, like I'm in therapy, I'm still in therapy now. And so I recommend therapy to anybody because I know the positive aspects or the positive outcomes of therapy. So do you think that like when you were in therapy, like it helped you go deep into what was like, because the self-harm wasn't the actual issue. It wasn't the trauma. The trauma was what led to the self-harm, but the self-harm itself was not the cause of the trauma. Mm-hmm. Like there was something deeper. So like the therapy helped you to go deeper into what that was. Okay, so that process, because I've been through that process, I'm not gonna lie. In the beginning, I hated that process.
Yeah.
Because you have to, deal with things that you don't really want to think about. Mm-hmm. Then it's like all emotional and stuff, and like,
it's not great revisiting all of those emotions.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then it's like, once you get over, like, okay, I don't want to talk about it, and then you do decide to talk about it. Did it feel like a weight being lifted off your shoulders?
Yes, 100%. Like talking about everything and just truly looking within my soul in a way. The world's weight was just in my body, not on my shoulders, like in my body, and talking through everything and feeling everything just slowly just fly away like birds. It felt like freedom. I felt like freedom. And that's what it was like. And it was absolutely wonderful.
See, I feel it. Because at first it's like, man, do I really have to talk about this? And then, once you talk about like one thing and the therapist like asks you a question and you give the answer, but then you have to go deeper, and then your thought process has to go deeper.
And then it's like when you go deeper, it's like you begin to spiral a little bit because like, I don't want to talk about that. Okay, but I have to. Then you feel sad. I'm like, I feel sad. I won't talk about it. I have to talk about it anyway. And then it's like, okay, I talk about it. Then wait, but I'm sad, but I don't want to be sad, but I'm going to be sad anyway. You just accept it,
Like this range of emotions going on. So like going through the process, like my therapist would be like, that's the word that people don't like. And sure enough, the word process, people do not like it. I didn't like it either. I'm starting to get used to it. But anyway, but going through it, I had to continue to tell myself, like, for me to get better for me, I have to go deeper than where I'm willing to go. And so if a topic is brought up, then I have to go deep into that topic. Like I can't just do surface level, because then what's the point of therapy?
Exactly.
Go deeper to figure out what the issue is. Like if I want to heal and I want to get better, then I have to go deeper.
Yeah, and also too, I think a lot of people, I think that's what really just scare people because they don't want to recognize what is there. They know whatever is there is there. They know it's there, but they're like, I don't want to see what's there. So they're like, no, I'm gonna just not do it. But if you, like you said, if you want to heal, and if you also want to become the best version of yourself, if you want to become your higher self, just be the best version of you that you imagine, you have to look within yourself and just have a conversation with yourself sometimes. And that's actually, I personally, I know this will not resonate with anyone. I will say, talking to yourself is actually quite helpful sometimes. Not all the time, but
The other day, I was able to talk to myself. I forgot what it was I was thinking or going through, but I remember thinking like, okay, so why am I doing this? Like, what is the reason I'm doing this? What is the underlying cause of me wanting to do this? And so I started just going deeper, and I was like, oh, got it. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, okay, since this is the reason I want to do it, I'm not going to do it because it was like a negative reason.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just the process of like therapy. And now I'm able to just be like, okay, wait, what's going on? Like, why am I doing that? And then it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And once you recognize, whatever is happening, you're like, oh, I get it now. I do this because that. I say this because that. And it makes sense. It's not in a way to make you feel sad or angry or whatever. You are recognizing these patterns so that way you can break them.
Yeah.
And replace your bad habits with good habits.
Yeah. You learn to process things differently. Like you learn to slow down and be like, hold on. Because guess what? Whatever it is that you've already dealt with, you've already gone through it. It's just about going a little bit deeper, but you've already gone through it.
We all have stories to tell. We all do. And it's so important to talk about them. And it's so important that we talk about this because, there's someone out here that needs this, that needs to hear these words that you're saying and that I'm saying. Someone needs to feel this kind of comfort, to feel like, oh, I'm not alone. Whoa, my God. We are never alone. We may think we're alone. And I know we all feel that way. It may be a lot, but we are never alone.
It's true. That's the reason for this podcast. We want people to know that whatever it is you go through, you are not alone when you go through it because we've all gone through something. We may not have all gone through the same thing, but we've all gone through something, some kind of trauma. We've all gone through something.
Just be kind to people. Just be kind to people. Just be kind to everyone. Be kind to the world around you because you don't know you don't know what they're going through.
You never know what's going on behind closed doors.
That's very true, yeah. And so just showing kindness or generosity, just any form of light, like be a light for someone else. I know that can be difficult sometimes if you don't feel the light in yourself some days, but try to find that will to just make someone smile. The little things can really make a difference, and people don't understand that.
Like you never really know what someone else is going through. I mean, we can all smile and, just be broken on the inside. Yeah, so we done talked about self-harm. We done talked about therapy, which is highly recommended. I think we touched on growth.
Yeah.
Did we touch on growth? I think we did.
We did.
And we done touched on, let me see what else. Things to look out for when it comes to, whether or not you think someone may be cutting themselves. I know that self-harm is like, this wide umbrella, and there's so many things that fall beneath it. But today we were just talking about cutting and some of the, signs to look for. And also how to approach someone, approach them with empathy. Do not approach them saying, hey, you're a cutter. No,
Yeah.
no. Yeah. We will not be doing it.
Yeah,
let's approach them with empathy.
Yes, I'm gonna talk about that again. Just a reminder, just approach them with empathy. Approach them with, that's the word of the day, kindness. Approach them with kindness. If you don't know what to say, just say, hey, if you ever need a friend or anything, we can hang out or something. Things like that. Be very subtle about it. Don't just be like, hey, so I see some marks in your arm. Are you doing okay? Don't do that either. Do not do that either. Moral of the story is just approach them kindly, in a respectful manner. Just be nice and just offer your heart and your ears. And that's all you can really do.
So on that note, I think that's a good place to end it. Once again, we are not therapists. We are not professionals. We are not psychologists. We are none of those. We were just here to give what it was that we done been through. And I thank you, August, for showing up today. I so appreciate it. Before we go though, one more question. So have you previously spoken publicly about, like the self-harm?
Oh my God. Well, no.
By publicly, I do not mean to your mom or to your friend. By publicly, I mean to like
a group.
Yes.
Oh, then no, definitely not. Like I've not done that. I would like to, because I want to talk about this and raise awareness for it, and just help people understand that we need to talk about it. It's important.
This has been another episode of Light in the Dark podcast. I am your host, Lady B, and today my guest was August, and we are going to say thank you. We're going to say goodbye till next time.